All right, welcome back to Stories from the Dirt. Today we have with us Alex Gilman of Team Heading United. Sorry, Headings United. All right, so Alex, where are you in the world today? I know we just went over this, but let's talk about it again.
Sure. So right now I'm home, which is Alexandria, Virginia. I have been on the road for 7 weeks, kind of bouncing around different places of the Southwest in Colorado, and just got home at 10 o'clock last night. It'll be a short 2 week stay before heading back out to Utah for I don't know how long, maybe 2 days, maybe 2 weeks. We'll see how this
Well, I'm in southern Utah, so if you come my way, let's get
okay.
together.
Good.
uh, what is your background? Like, what do you do when you're not prepping for the rally?
So when I'm not prepping for the rally, I'm probably just doing my job most of the time, which is I know really exciting. I'm a project manager on a FEMA contract. So I am private sector. I don't work for the government, but I just basically herd feral cats in the government all day, every day. But if I'm not prepping for the rally, anything outdoors. So I try to get out of the city as much as I can. And I've been doing more and more off road instruction, which has been really fun to get into. And yeah, just try to go explore. I run away from
Yeah.
Alexandria as much as I can. So clearly.
Yeah. It's it's a busy city. I grew up not too far from there, in Manassas. But, so you do, you said off-road recovery instruction?
Or just off-road instruction, yes. So I
Okay.
started working with overland experts, I guess 2 or 3 years ago now. I went in there as a student with like basically zero knowledge, and they were kind enough to reach out to me after a couple of classes and say, "Hey, we like you. We think you have the right temperament for this, and there need to be more women doing this work. And if we and like come hang out with us and see if you like it, and we'll invest in you." So they're really the ones who gave me my start with that, and now I've been able to do more work with them. I've been able to work with Nina Barlow more and more, which has been fantastic getting that experience. And yeah, it's something I really love and hope to do more as I get older as the fun adult job, but I still have to do the job that pays the bills right now.
Where are
Right.
the overland experts? Where are they located? Are they close to you?
Their primary facility is down in North Carolina in Troy. So that East Coast Rebel weekend that we're hosting will be on their grounds down in Troy, North Carolina. They started out of Connecticut, and they do actually have a facility in Utah, but their bread and butter out of Utah is military-based trainings. So they can do recreational training out of there, but mostly it's just the military trainings, which are 5 days out, unsupported, and go out and learn how to use the vehicles and how to get out of spots quickly. So if you're military and you're overseas, you can get out of there before you get shot at. So
So have you gotten to
Sounds
go
like
do some of the Utah trainings then
I
with them?
haven't yet. I really want to do a couple of the militaries. So far, I've only done the civilian trainings, which are still great fun, but I'd love to go out and do the full like 5 days out with the teams and get
Yeah,
that full experience.
yeah, that sounds
yeah,
pretty
that sounds pretty cool.
wild.
Yeah, so you mentioned your training weekend in Troy, North Carolina. What can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so as we're getting more and more East Coast rebels, Mandy Brazia, my teammate for the rally, we wanted to do it last year, but we just didn't get our stuff together because we both had too much stuff going on personally. But just to get a better setup to support the East Coast rebels, and I mean, up until now, every single training that exists, either whether it's folks getting together or through Barlow or the Rebel Use, is all on the West Coast. So now that I think there's 4 or 5 East Coast teams to try and get stuff going to build that community and build the support system and actually have a setup where we can go practice. Obviously, we can't replicate Glamis, but we can still go put sticks in the woods and let people practice their skills. So that will be the first weekend doing that. I still need to put together a course outline and figure out how we're going to do it. And I'll be going down and staying there for a little while so I can run around and map the facilities and figure out where the heck we're going to put sticks in the woods, and see what the options are. So hopefully it all goes smoothly, but if nothing else, it'll be a starting point to, hopefully for future practices down the road.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Like I said, I grew up on the East Coast in Virginia, and I tried for several years to find a teammate while I was on the East Coast, and it was just I didn't have any success in it. And like I have noticed in the past few years, like it's just blowing up
Mm-hmm.
on the East Coast, and that's great. And you guys doing the training, I know I hosted a training last year, and it was like you said, it's a place to start.
Yeah.
It's a big
Yeah.
undertaking, but people so love it and enjoy it. So I'm so happy for you
Yeah,
guys.
I'm really hoping it goes well. I mean, it'll be a mix of folks who have competed before. At least one rookie team who I think is pretty new to off-roading in general is going to come. So it'll be interesting trying to balance like all the different skill levels that are coming into just like a day and a half long weekend. And it's going to be horribly
Yeah.
hot. So hey, it'll be fun. Good dune training. Just Glamis plus humidity. It's fine. And
That'll be good training then.
bugs.
You'll be fine. Everybody's gonna
There's
survive.
a
Yeah, at our training last year, I think I heard somebody say, "I've never driven off road before."
oh yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a fun day."
Yeah, no, my rookie training that I went to for the rally, there were people who shifted into four-wheel drive their first time getting into that camp in Glamis. I was like, all right, well, I know more than that, but that's the cool part is seeing people go from that level to actually competing in the rally and getting everything together and seeing how well they do. So that's probably my favorite part of it.
Heck yeah. I was able to attend Nina Barlow's last 7-day training, and you were one of the instructors, and I felt a nice bond with you, so much so that I was comfortable pushing you over in the sand when you were giving me a hard time one day. Um, but yes, I would agree with your people. You're very well suited to be an instructor and a teacher, and I learned a lot from you, and so I wish you much luck
Thank you.
with that. Okay, so what is your rally history? Like, how many times have you done it?
Yeah, so this will be my third year returning. So my rookie year was, that makes what, 2022 was my rookie year. Learned about it in 2021 actually through Paul Staple, who used to work on the staff for there. I through 6 degrees of separation. I have a friend that's friends with his father and happened to jump on one of the old guys overlanding trips and met Paul through that, and he started talking a lot about the rally because he was fresh off of it, and it was this thing that was like, all right, looked it up. I was like, oh, this is a really big deal. I have no business doing this. Like, this is a serious undertaking. And then the more I learned about it, I was just kind of like, well, let's go do it and see how it works out. And through Overland Experts, met my rookie year partner. She was a student who, I just happened to come back and open up an email that was like Rebel Rally from one of the other OEX instructors. So it's like, okay, we can make this happen. Because as you said, I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to get a partner for this because I don't have any friends locally that do any type of off-roading. And because I didn't meet Mandy until I started doing the rally stuff. So it worked out well for somebody to be like, here's a potential partner. Do you mind if I share your info? I was like, no, please. All the things. So
Yeah. Yeah. So you said you felt immediately like you have no business doing it. Why explain that? Why do you feel that way? Or did you feel that way?
yeah, I mean, I think it was, before I knew more about the insides of it through Paul, just, having Googled it and, it's this flashy website, you have all the sponsors, like this seems like a really big deal. Obviously the price tag is really intimidating. So it just seemed like, oh, this is not for, run of the mill, like hobby weekend warriors who are doing this stuff. It seems like for professionals. And, it wasn't until Paul really talked a lot about it. And it's like, okay, no, this is something that I can actually do, and learned a little bit more about it and started pursuing doing the rally. So it was very quick from learning about it to go like just signing up. And I think in 2022, I got one of the last open spots, which was fun because they had I think it was one of the intro calls. They're like, we'll just talk about it. And they're like, well, we're about to shut it down because it's almost closed. And after that night, I was like, all right, done. And the next day was all wait list. So
Wow.
yeah, but it's been an amazing journey. And it was definitely an intimidating thing to get into, even with the training, because I went to Nina's same 7-day training back in 2022, and I went by myself because my rally partner couldn't go because of her work. So drove my truck across the country because I was like, well, that was going to be our vehicle. I'm like, I can't replicate that type of driving on the East Coast. Like rock, mud, fine. Dunes, terrified. So drove the truck across the
Right?
country, drove through a massive snowstorm that was hitting the southeast that year. Made it to Glamis like 40 hours later, hopped up on caffeine, like shaking. I had so much caffeine in my system. And it was just, I mean, everything. I mean, you guys have been through it and started from scratch too, but like all this information, and you're just like, it's just this for the first like 4 days of the training, and then eventually it starts slowly coming together. But yeah, it's a lot. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot. Like you coming from the East Coast, my first 2 years, I didn't do I'm a navigator. I
yeah,
don't do the driving traditionally. I'm just starting to kind of transition into being able to call myself like I'm also a driver. Um, so one of my just personal goals outside of the rally was to learn how to drive the dunes this year. And yeah, because coming from the East Coast, like you're not allowed to drive on the
right.
dunes. You can drive on the beaches, but that's just flat and it's so wet that like unless it's a super hot day, like you're probably not getting in any trouble. So yeah, it's totally
Yeah,
different.
huge,
Well, it
huge.
seems like Nina's 7-day course too is, especially if it's going from like if you've never driven the dunes to then like
Yeah,
by the end of it, it seemed. I mean, I only took the 3 days, and I wished we'd had time to be able to take the 7, because it's kind of like going from zero to you actually like get it, and it's an amazing skill. So
yeah, it's huge because I had only signed up for I think the first 4 days when I went out to do it, because I was so intimidating. It was like, here's the description, here's like the 101, and then here's like intermediate dune driving. And I was like, that ain't me. So I had completely chickened out of signing up for the second half, but I had already signed up to do her train the trainer course later that same spring. And I guess there was a conversation that happened between her and Paul, and she like, it was kind of like, oh, what the heck? Like, if you're coming out to do this, why aren't you doing the intermediate skills? So Paul was like, if you can stay, stay. And yeah, I called work. I was like, do you care if I take more time off? And they're like, you're fine. So I was lucky and I stayed for the full thing, because I think having, especially those last days where you're out hunting checkpoints and actually putting all the pieces together, is really important to get that moment. And we would have been so screwed on Dune Day had I not been out there, because I mean, Erica's a good driver, but she's never driven in those type of situations, and the navigating was so much different than anything she'd done in the past that yeah, that saved our butts. And even on Dune Day, my rookie year, I was like ready to cry. I was so stressed out because we went into the swing set checkpoint, and then I was like, I don't know how to get out of here. Like, I know the direction to get out of here, but just reading the bigger dunes and getting out of that, like the only other car that came up was, freaking Rory with all of her total chaos stuff on
Oh,
her forerunner. And I was like, can we pair up? She's like, if you can keep up, sure. I was like, that ain't gonna happen. I was like, go girl. Your thing. My overweighted gladiator is not going to keep up with you, nor are my skills. So
yeah. We shared the same rookie year, and my partner Tara she's local here in Southern Utah. Her family runs the Dixie 4-wheel drive shop, and so it was time for her to get a new shop car.
yeah,
So she got a 392 Wrangler. So we had enough power to cover up a little bit of lack of skill. But yeah, we too went into the swing set, and yeah, I think my most scared I'm hardly ever scared in the passenger, and I wasn't scared at this point, but, like, when you get up there near competition hill
mm-hmm.
and, like, you're just like it's just huge drops all over. My rookie year, that's when I was like, "Oh, this is really big," because I hadn't driven in the dunes, I hadn't seen the dunes
Yeah.
really before that, it was just craziness.
Yeah, it's, I mean, and to Erica's credit, she trusted me and never like put any ounce of doubt into my capabilities. But we went out, and I think we ended up probably taking the harder route because I did not go. I guess it was the flagpole was the next one that year, but we went out, tried to go back out towards Gecko Road. And after a couple dunes, I was like, I have no idea which way our checkpoint is. I'm just trying to get us out at this point. And she's like, totally agree. And whatever it was, 20, 30 minutes later, we pop out. We're finally out of the big stuff. And we're just like, I'm just like, my heart's doing this number because I'm like, oh, I haven't killed us. So that's a win. And we're just chatting. And then I look over past her and I was like, is that our checkpoint? And it was like 100 yards or 100 meters, excuse me, off to our right. She's like, I think it is. I was like, I don't know how that worked out, but like, that was a nice little, little gift from the rally.
Being
Mhm.
like, "That's real." Oh, but if you wanna drive it and I'll sit in the passenger seat, no problem. I'll take a nap, I'll read a book, put me in the driver's seat. Oh, wow. Look, my palm's sweating just talking about it.
Hey, that's good trust.
oh, so you got all the skills now though after those 7 days.
Yeah. No,
Ooh.
you should.
I
Great.
can do it. I can do it, yeah.
You didn't have any real issues, so if you were sweating it, you were
No.
hiding it well.
Yeah, only once did I cry, but not till after I got out of the giant bowl, and I was like, "That was too much for me." Too
Easier
much.
the second time.
Um, so you've had a couple of teammates, so just explain that, like, so you had your first year teammate and then you moved to a second, is what what's the story with
Yeah,
that?
so my first year teammate Erica, like I mentioned, we met through OEX. She was a student, not of any of my classes, but that's how I met her. And so we kind of teamed up pretty quickly because she wanted to do it, and same thing for her. I was like, well, we know you. Seems like we can stand each other, and we had some crossover in our backgrounds. Like she is I shouldn't say farm manager because she manages this like ridiculously fancy 600-acre like horse farm in a state out towards Charlottesville. And I used to do the horse stuff, so we always had the equestrian background as kind of a common ground. And for the most part, like we seem to get along really well and have the general goals going into it. Her hard part is with her job, she had very limited time off, so she wasn't able to, go out west to participate in any of the training. So she really had to rely on all the Rebel U online stuff for everything that she learned, whereas I was, had the time and had the ability to make it all the way out west, which helped out a lot. And we ended up having like, we had our spits here and there, but nothing really bad. We ended up working really well together for the rally, and she has all the ability in the world to be an amazing navigator. She and her husband have done quite a bit of orienteering, and that definitely paid off. Like her map reading skills to be like, okay, this peak is this peak, and over here it was really spot on, like 95% of the time. Uh,
Oh, nice.
and so it was nice to have that balance. But after that year, unfortunately I lost my mother that Christmas when I came back from the rally, and the next year, I met Mandy the previous year. We'd done a couple of courses together, and she lives about an hour up the road from me, so we've hung out outside of that. And just our goals were very common, and I was on the fence of doing the rally again this past year because I had to deal with so much with my mom passing and then kind of inheriting taking care of my father, who I refer to as my 85-year-old teenager now. Getting that whole situation, I was like, I don't have the gas in the tank to do a lot of prep work or put in extra time to get ready for the rally. And Mandy kind of approached with you know, like I think her exact words was like, "What can I do to make this happen for you?" And that statement alone was like, okay, the fact that I can lean on you, and I know we're both going into it with a similar goal and similar mindset, was huge. And Mandy did do a lot of kind of the side prep stuff with fundraising and things like that. When it was nice that I could take a back seat to getting prepped for the rally, because I just didn't have it in with everything going on. And we ended up having a really good rally. We've gone out on a couple different training courses. We jumped in on one of Nina's courses last fall to help. I almost rolled her vehicle. Lizzie got to see that. There's nothing like bonding with a teammate when you try to completely destroy their vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not just any vehicle. So you guys are the, correct me if I'm wrong, the first privateer team to be able to run full
Yep,
electric, is that
that is
correct?
correct.
And, so there were a lot of hoops to jump through, like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, so Mandy had wanted to take the Rivian in basically ever since she got it. She really wanted that challenge, but because it's a beta program, there was a lot of hesitation from the rally side to allow a privateer group even though they love Mandy. Like this will be her 5th year going back, and she's definitely earned her reputation and has the respect of the staff and the folks who work in the rally and deserves every bit of it. But she had a different teammate every year. So I think coming in with a non-rookie teammate gave a little bit more of that conversation. And the folks who work at Rivian, like Lily and Alex, who won last year, Ro and Nicole, who had competed our rookie year, did a lot of advocate work for us at Rivian to help get us support. So that conversation had to happen. Conversation with the rally had to happen, and then Emily had to okay it with Renewable Innovations to make sure that they could support another full EV vehicle. So it's just this chain of people that had to sign off, and it was like once Renewable Innovation signed off and said they could, then Emily, the rally said okay, and that gave us enough to go back to Rivian and say okay, like the rally's going to let us do that, and that let their legal sign off on it. So yeah, it was a lot of people working to make that happen. So
Yeah,
really
that's quite the
glad
process.
to do that. But
Yeah, that's crazy. When I read, I was like, "What? No way." I was like, "No way. Privateer bringing full
yeah,
electric." So, how was that? Cuz before you went, you said in the Gladiator,
yep.
so like how what's the differences?
It's a lot more comfortable than the Gladiator. As much as I love my Gladiator, the suspension on the Rivian is really nice. I mean, the biggest thing is driving the Rivians and probably any electric versus driving a gas powered vehicle, is the way it reacts to the input. So, like in the dunes, especially, you rely so much on the noise of the vehicle. Or, like, okay, you can hear your engine revving, you can hear that starting to struggle, and you change your input on the accelerator. Whereas, like the Rivian, you have to like choose your input and just stay there. Like, don't mess with it. And if you have that moment of hesitation, which is how I screwed up and got it so horribly stuck, it's like slamming on the brakes and throwing an anchor behind you because they're a heavy vehicle, and that regen kicks in, and that's like putting on the brakes. So it just will dig instantly. And we also learned really quickly that like once your wheels start to spin at all, just like stop, get out, throw out your max tracks, and you're probably going to be okay. But as soon as you start to spin, you dig so quick with the torque and horsepower.
Mm.
But no, I mean, driving it, I was very impressed with how capable it was, and if you could get your foot feel right on it and kind of get that input right on it, I mean, it would just climb up any of the dunes without any hesitation, and really smoothly. So it's nice to be able to be out there, and it felt like surfing almost when you would get into the flowy cursive driving because you had no engine. And when we're out there in 110-degree heat where there's nobody out there but us crazy idiots, it was just this weird feeling of just sailing through the dunes in this like kind of nice silence. Not having air conditioning, maybe not the nicest thing in the world because you're just trying to save the power, but no, it's a really capable vehicle, and I'm glad that we were able to do that. So Mandy could check that off her bucket list item to do and get it in, and overall had a really good rally with it too. So
Yeah. What did you guys place? I can't
we
remember.
came in 11th.
Right. Okay, yeah, I knew it was really well.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah, we
job.
were happy with that. We had couple hiccups on what was it, Wednesday, Thursday, between tires, and learning the hard way that things don't charge well in extreme heat,
Mm.
which kind of bit us in the butt, and we had to throw out a lot of our plans and cut stuff short. But I mean, the fact that we ended up where we were, having never teamed up together before, having a car that we really didn't know how it was going to go through the whole rally, not knowing how the charging was going to work, and then having blow in two tires in the process too was, yeah, it all came together.
Yeah, because 'cause they're not, like, off-road tires really per se, right?
Yeah, they're my understanding, and I don't quote me on this, and if anybody's going to Google me, they have Pirelli tires, and my understanding is Rivian worked with Pirelli to make the tires that are on the R1Ts and I think the R1Ss as well. So it's not Pirelli's normal stock tire. So it is kind of an all-terrain. But because of the
Okay.
rim size on those, I think it's a 20-inch rim, so you are very limited in how much rubber you can run. So the sidewalls on those, I think, are a little bit easier to destroy because there's just not, you can't go down as much in air pressure, and you're just limited on the tires that you can run in general. So I think for like 98% of the customers who have those trucks, those tires are perfectly fine for, but putting them through the rally test, you're a little bit harder on them. So, but
Yeah, the rally is definitely tough on everything.
yeah.
So you mentioned it's Mandy's vehicle, but you guys, you switched, right?
Right.
Every day, one of you was driving and then the other one was driving. So how was that for you? Not because you don't own a full electric for your day to day,
Right.
do you?
No. Nope. I've got my truck. I've got my Gladiator. Um,
So then, how was that?
it was interesting. So my rookie year, I did the majority of the driving. So I think rookie year I had like one full day sitting as a navigator. So it was, I don't know, I felt like this was more of my rookie navigator year than it was my first year, just because I spent more time in that seat. But switching back and forth, I mean, wasn't too bad. We made the decision early on that, for enduros, Mandy would drive it if it was on time enduros, and in the dunes that she would drive it, just because those are the areas where you're most likely to, do something dumb or have a bit of an accident. So that decision was made pretty quickly. But any other kind of driving that we saw during the rally, I felt completely comfortable in that vehicle. I mean, Mandy's been gracious enough to be like, okay, get in. You need to drive it too because we're going to switch on and off because she really likes to navigate, and that's not something she's been able to do having rookie teammates all through the years. So she wanted to have more opportunity to be in that seat too. So it's nice. I mean, it's nice to have the mental breaks as well. So for especially as the navigator, so you can decompress a little bit and go drive and let somebody else stare down and break their neck for the next 10 hours.
Yeah, I know Liz and I talked a lot about that, and she was like, she journaled last year and she took all of these wonderful pictures, and I was like, that is a luxury that I've always navigated that like I just have never
Yeah.
known. Like, what do you mean you had time to get out your camera and take pictures? Or like every morning, like I'm over there plotting and she's gotten all of her stuff done and she's just writing in her journal and
Yeah.
taking it all in. And I'm just like, wow, that's the
Yeah.
life.
Hey,
That's
I
the
was up at
life.
like 4 with you though. So I should get that extra in,
No,
get in the tent, have my coffee, do the
Yeah.
journaling before any of you guys got any of the CP guides, and then I'd
no,
like,
you did.
jump out of the car. I'd like when we'd be at checkpoints and stuff. I'm like jumping out with the tracker and the camera, like two handing, like, okay, what can I get real quick? document. But I do think I had a little more time than you did, Avis, to get those.
Yes, yes. I don't mean to say you were living a life of luxury, but
I might have been.
I just I just can't even fathom.
Yeah. Yeah, I suck my driver into it if I'm navigating. I'm like, does this make sense? So they don't get free time. I'm like, if we're screwing up, we're screwing up together. We're both buying into this decision.
Liz this year is, she's top notch. She could navigate us if she wanted to. So
Cool.
I mean, I probably will be in moments. I'm definitely practicing a lot more. So
Yeah, it just makes such a
yeah.
difference if both seats can do it. I mean, because there's so many times where you're just brain dead. So it's good to have two pairs of eyes. And I mean, there's at least a couple times where Mandy and I had our own plots that we both botched completely. And it'd be nice to be
Oh,
check this, please. Like, let me
yeah.
look at this. Especially in the morning,
yeah,
where I'm like, I
yeah.
don't like this plot. Like, check it. I go look at it. So
Yeah, or for me, like, okay, this is where I think we are, and I mean, I just like just look at the map and tell me if you agree that this is where we are. So just to be able to have that sounding board, it's I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
and I really like maps. I remember when we got them last year, like at base camp one, and we were like rolling them all out, and I'm like, "Ooh, where are we? Like, where are
yeah.
we going? Look at all of this!" I got so excited.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And it just like setting up all the maps. We were sitting with Holly and Laura last year, and Holly's like, I love her. She's just so precise of everything. I'm like, oh, those are really good ideas. I'm copying everything you do. Don't hate me.
Right? Yes, I like that. I will be doing the same. Let's talk about the rally and do you think it changed your life? That's a big topic. Do you think the rally changed your life? Was it life changing?
So I have a hard time with that question because I don't know. The one thing I'll tell you about the rally is it's the first time where I feel like I've found my community. I think that's probably been the biggest life changing thing. So, I mean, I've always done all things outdoors, like, did the horses. My parents did the dude ranch thing when I was growing up. And then in high school, like, transitioned into like hiking, climbing, mountain biking. And as much as I loved rock climbing and kind of the mountaineering thing and the mountain biking, like, if as much as those like sports tend to seem like they're this really cool, laid back group, I always felt like an outsider in them. Like I was never into it enough to be like fully accepted by that community. So going into the rally, there was just like no hesitation. It's just like, you are one of us. You're crazy. So that's probably been the biggest part of the rally, and why I like being able to be in the teacher seat now and kind of give back to the folks who are getting into it, because I just think it's an amazing experience. And I've also always been hesitant to do all women's things, because same in a lot of worlds that women don't support women. So the fact that the rally is so diverse and you do get this amazing support from everybody around you is just an incredible thing. So that's probably been the biggest takeaway from it. So I haven't had, like, I know some folks have had their breakdown moments. I don't feel like I've had that, but I've been through some stuff in my life, so I feel like I'm a little bit more thick-skinned and worn in some areas. So it takes a lot more for me to hit that life-changing moment. But it's definitely been a extremely important part of my life that I am very grateful for. And maybe me saying all this is like, duh, you idiot! It is life-changing. Listen to yourself.
No, no, Liz, this is another conversation Liz and I have. She's like, "It's life-changing," and I was like, "I don't think it's
Yeah.
life-changing." Has it affected me? Yes, but did it change my life? I think I'm more like you. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things I appreciate, but did it change my life? No, but Liz would.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. We're here having a podcast about the rally now,
Right.
so
Exactly.
it's changed. It's definitely changed our lives.
Yeah, no, I would agree
But
with that.
but
Like, it's such a big part, because like the off road instruction and stuff started before that, and I was already like, I love this, because when I was a kid, or not a kid, but like teenager, 20 something, I really wanted to do outdoor education, and learned really quickly that my body was just not built to deal with hauling heavy packs and things like that. So it's crazy that 15 years later, like, all of a sudden I am doing outdoor education. It just happens to involve 4x4 vehicles. And I was like, all right, this is what I love. I never thought this is what it would be. And the rally has become a really important part of that kind of development. So yeah, I guess, okay, it is life changing. I'm in the Liz bucket.
It's allowed you to fulfill your
yeah,
dreams. Like I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's life changing is such a big word.
it is. It is. It is a big word. But I like you, I feel like I found my community and it's given me outlets.
It's special. It's definitely special. Life changing or not, it's special.
Life changing or not.
Sorry, one of those weirdos.
Same. I think we're all weirdos. All right. We have a little segment that we like to call Fast
Oh
Money.
gosh.
There's no money involved, only speed. So I'm gonna set a 1-minute timer. Liz, do you have the questions? This
No.
is a trick question.
No.
I still haven't written them down from that text message you sent me.
Okay. I knew the answer. I just like to ask it
One of
anyways.
these days I'm going to say yes, and you'll be like, "What?"
Sweet. All right, so I'm gonna set a 1-minute timer and I'm gonna ask you 11
Oh, crap.
questions and you just need to answer quickly.
Sure.
They're easy questions. No life-changing questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. The favorite car you've ever owned.
Oh, my truck, my Gladiator.
Okay. Favorite state you've ever visited.
Montana.
Oh, desert or mountains?
Oh, desert mountains. They exist.
High desert?
High desert.
Oceans or lakes?
Ocean.
Ground tent or rooftop tent?
Ground tent.
How many pairs of Vans do you own?
None.
Baseball caps, flat bill or rounded?
Rounded.
Luxury camp food or will keep you alive food?
Oh, luxury.
Coffee?
Of course.
Drive or navigate?
Both. Drive.
And then pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Okay, nice job. See, it's all good and fun.
You're like, you're not allowed to choose that option.
I like the desert mountains. That was a good one.
I want both.
What?
And you can have both. They exist.
Yes, you can. So in the rally, do you guys a couple of like team questions? Do you have a safe word?
Oh, I feel like we came up with one last year and then forgot what it was. I feel like it might have been. Yeah, I don't. We talked about it. I feel like there was one established, and I have no idea what it was. Never needed it, so that's
Perfect.
probably why I forgot what it was.
Never needed it. Okay. And then, so have you ever been truly lost, like, on the rally where you were like, "I'm gonna have to push the button and pay for information?"
I like to refer to it as temporarily misplaced.
I like that.
Rookie year, we probably should have just sucked it up and pressed the button. We got ourselves out, but I mean, I think it took us an hour and a half to like track to where the heck we were supposed to be. So should have, yes,
Should have, but
but
didn't.
didn't. So have the temporary misplaced.
What have you learned or what strategy have you changed since your rookie year now that you're going into your 3rd year?
I think the big thing is being confident in your decisions and not being afraid to just move on if you have to. Um, Rookie year, we lost a chunk of time. Like we actually ended up timing out of like half of our day because we just spent too long like trying to triangulate, especially for those black checkpoints and second guessing and like that clock ticks so fast when you're trying to do that. You're like, oh, it's been 5 minutes or 45. So that's the big thing is just trusting yourself and trusting your skills. And yeah, that's the big one. And if you have to sit there and ask them, like, do I have time to do this? No, you don't. That's always the answer at that point. If you're trying to convince yourself you have time, you don't. Just move on.
Yeah, I like to say standing there and looking at that map for an extra 10 minutes, it really doesn't bring any more
Yep, you're going
clarity.
to be just
Like,
as like off as you were. So either click or don't click.
yeah. Have you optimized your gear from your 1st year?
A little bit. I feel like I brought more stuff with it, but Rivian was really kind and gave us a bunch of clothing last year, so we had all the stuff that I wasn't planning on having, which was nice. And then we did the combo tent last year instead of having individual tents, which we did my rookie year. So technically, yeah, we refer to the tent we used as Brutus. It was the 3-person decathlon thing that Mandy had to deal with every morning because I could not fold that thing up to save my life. So no matter what the morning duty was, Mandy had to go deal with the tent.
So I have that same tent. So you put both of you and all of your gear in that one
Yeah,
tent.
we had I think she had this 3-person. We named it Brutus. I hate Brutus, but I
Yeah.
mean, he held up. Yeah, so we kind of made like a little like safety barrier between us of all of our gear. So there was like, no touchy touchy. I mean, I was definitely like wedged up against the side because I barely fit into it lengthwise already. And then, but yeah, it worked. So luckily,
Yeah.
Mandy's a really heavy sleeper, so it was all fine.
My year 1 teammate was a full foot taller than me at 6'2", and when she ordered us that tent, one of them, and when it got here and she laid in it, and I was like, "I'm getting my own
Yep.
tent." I was like, "You that is no, that's not that does not compute." I'm amazed you guys made that work.
Yeah, it was cozy, but it worked. I mean, maybe that's why we didn't sleep freezing cold when we were up in Mammoth. So,
Yeah, Liz moved into my tent for that same reason. We were like, "We need warmth in the tent,
yep.
so we're gonna share a tent."
Because I'm trying to picture like the two of you and Mandy in that tent with all your stuff down the middle. I'm like, that's pretty smart. Make the little like
Yeah,
wall in the middle. But I'm like, dang, that's cozy.
yeah, it was definitely tight quarters. I mean, it worked decently. The only my biggest complaint with that tent was like I couldn't sit up in it.
Yeah.
It's too short for that. And like the normal 2-person one, I bought it because I was like, well, just in case we decide to go, because you know you do all the panic ordering right before the rally. I was like, why don't I just get a tent just in case? And I've now used it this year, and I can't even like I have to set my stuff up crosswise in it in the smaller 2-person. So we'll see. I think the tent is TBD for next year. How we do it.
TBD. What about vehicles? Vehicles still TBD?
Vehicles are still TBD. So a couple feelers out there, but we don't know what it's going to be just yet. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for you're hoping for the Rivian again?
Rivian or something else. We'll see.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah,
interesting.
because we have, I mean, between us, we have 3 now veteran rally vehicles. So technically, we could just pull any one of them to go back in. I mean, obviously, with the Rivian, we'd have to
Mhm.
get all the sign offs again. But yeah, we're not sure what the vehicle is just yet.
Yeah. Interesting. Um, would you ever consider doing the cross class, or are you a 4x4 girl
I
to the
would
bone?
totally do the cross class. I think it'd be fun. So yeah, so if Rivian wanted to give us one of their newly released vehicles, we'd be down with that, and we'd go do the X Cross. I don't even know if it counts as an X Cross, but if it did, we'd be happy to take it in.
Yeah, that new one is so cute. It reminds me of like a VW Golf or something.
Yeah, they're itty bitty. Yeah, Mandy got to go to the reveal for that, which is awesome. I've seen it
Yeah,
in person. I've just seen the photos, but
same. Yeah.
It seems tight to squeeze
Interesting.
all the gear in it, though.
it would be. But yeah, people get some small rigs with all that stuff in there, so it's doable. Just gotta be real creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the French girls with the little two-door TJ this
Yep.
year. I love that though.
Yeah.
So cute. So, how do you guys avoid getting hangry in the car?
Lots of snacks. So many
What kind of
snacks. Oh
snacks?
god. So one of our main things we do is we always take one of the mountain houses and put water in the morning. So we have those, like one of those to eat on the fly. So I can only do snacks for so long before I'm like I need real food. So that's kind of like the real food, and then lots of M&Ms, lots of cookies. And so they're like, don't eat all the sugar as the rally goes on. The sugar level increases for sure. Like you want
100%.
turkey? Yeah. They're like, no, I want cookies. I'm like, "Yep, me too. But I will.
Mine spikes at the beginning because I don't really eat a lot of junk food, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, "Ooh, junk food," and then I'm like, "Oh, I can't eat that junk food. It's not good for
Yeah, no,
me."
we're living on our M&M stash by the end of the rally. It's so bad. But yeah,
Look,
having coffee, having M&Ms, cookies, whatever the rally hands out to us, and we overshopped this year too and brought a bunch of stuff that ended up getting thrown out that we didn't eat. But cheese sticks, that was another big one. Lots of cheese sticks.
so do you take a refrigerator?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think having the fridge is really nice. I panicked. That was one of my panic orders. Expensive panic order my rookie year was the fridge that I still use. And my teammate was like, "Yeah, we don't need a fridge." I'm like, "It's gonna be hot, cold water and cold, like especially cold electrolytes is gonna be nice." And after
Yeah.
getting the fridge, I'm like, "Never again will I either A, do any type of off roading with a cooler, and B, do the rally without a fridge." So
Yeah, Nina this year was like, "I don't take a second spare, and I don't take a fridge for weight," and I was like, "Oh, I don't you're just challenging me on a molecular
yeah,
level at the moment."
yeah, I can get behind the tire with most of the 4x4s, but not the fridge. Mandy's fridge is a little bit smaller than the one that I have, but that's what we had last year. So a little more space efficient, but well worth it.
Yeah. I have a small fridge. We've been doing overlanding for quite a number of years, and after one bad experience with the cooler and the water running into all the food that I
Uh,
prepared, I was like, "Never a cooler again."
yeah, I'm about to order a second one for my currently my East Coast vehicle because I'm like, I can't. I need my fridge. And maybe,
Your East
yeah, I have a little still bone stock Forerunner now. That is my East Coast vehicle. My truck is in Santa Fe still. So
Oh, fun. Um,
So you find yourself going back and forth quite a bit then?
yeah, that's the plan. That was the big goal for this year was to spend a lot more time out west because I barely spent any time last year for all the family reasons. And this year I was like, nope, I am getting my butt out there. That is my happy place. I need to do it, especially if I'm going to keep pursuing the teaching things. And so yeah, so last 7 weeks we're out there. I'll be back out in 2 weeks, probably for a short trip, and then hopefully back in May and in June. So we'll see how it goes. Not all will be driving back and forth.
Yeah. The
Some
vehicle
fun.
is placed, so you just fly back and forth then once they're placed, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there'll be some driving back and forth because ultimately the Forerunner is my dog's car, so she can get transported back and forth across the country. Like, talk about absurd pet owners. They're like, "You bought your dog a Forerunner." I'm like, "I did." That was. I'm paranoid about putting her under a plane, so she got a car.
Yep. She probably loves that back roll down window too.
Yep, she hasn't gotten to experience it yet, so it's soon to be. Yeah, I had a Chevy Malibu that I rented to get back across this time because the Forerunner was still here. I was like, all right, come on, little feller, you can do it.
No, you'd mentioned like you grew up horseback riding and dude ranch, and then rock climbing, mountain climbing. Do you feel like some of those things kind of prepared you in ways for the rally and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just the fact that I've spent a ton of time outdoors in general, whether it be camping or just day trips, and also very much not afraid to be disgusting. you know, as I was doing the equestrian stuff, I'm like, I don't even want to know how much horse poo I've probably ingested over the years. Like, my mom put me on a horse when I was 4 years old, and I competed until I was 21, and took care of my own horses and worked at the stables that I was riding out of. So it was definitely the like kept you out of trouble. You knew how to work hard and roll your sleeves up and just deal with being uncomfortable. So I think that's a big part of going into the rally. It's just like, all right, I'm going to be gross. This isn't going to be comfortable. It's going to be long, hard days, but just having that comfort outside, I think, makes it a lot easier. I can't imagine going to the rally and be like, this is my first time camping, which I know a lot of people have. Like, that blows my mind. I was like, all right, nope, I know how to set up a tent safely and efficiently and have my like sleep system figured out. So no, I think having spent time in the outdoors, however what form that may be for somebody, is a big advantage coming into the rally.
Yeah.
I felt kind of the same way, like, my life has prepared me for this. I do all of this outdoorsy stuff, but the first year on the rally, I was like, "My god, I have never been this dirty in my entire life." Like, I'm not usually one to be, like, stinky dirty, and, like, I felt stinky and, like, the dirt under my fingernails, like, I was cleaning them, like, 3 or 4 times a day, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I don't think I've ever been this dirty." You think that's true, or do you think you've been that
Oh,
dirty
I've been that
before?
dirty. I did a mountaineering course. We were out for 30 days. So
Dang.
Okay, yeah, you've been that dirty.
Okay,
and
I'm like, tell me more about that.
yeah, no. So when I was in, I think it was my junior year of college, I did a NOL, so National Outdoor Leadership School mountaineering course up in the North Cascades. So it was, I think, 30 or 31 days of being out heavy packs in the Cascade Mountains, which was an amazing experience to be able to do that. But it was, I think, I want to say 12 or 13 students, and there were three of us, three women. All the rest were boys, of course, little dudes, and I think the age range was like 18 to 27. And it was funny because the two instructors we had, you're looking at them like, oh, they're old and wise and know all the things. And I went back and I worked as an in-town staff member out of that branch the following season, and learned that like one of the instructors was like 2 years older than we were. I was like, hold on. That just like destroyed my entire like thought of you and this like illusion that you're like 10 years older than us and had all this experience and wisdom to share. No, you're a kid. Yeah, but that was a cool experience. That was also the trip that I learned that I could never do outdoor ed because my knees just could not deal with hauling 70-pound packs for days on end and really really treacherous terrain. And actually one of the days that we're out on that, maybe this is why like the rally stuff doesn't hit me as like, oh, this is the life changing thing, is we had one day, it was the summer solstice, but we ended up getting snowed in full whiteout conditions. So we were stuck for 24 hours or 36 hours, whatever it was. We're at the end of our ration period. So we had food, but like you're getting to the stuff that you didn't want to eat the entire week. And like your spice kit is getting real low. So the lentils are not the most appetizing thing in the world. Like you're timing each other on how quickly you can run out and poo for fun because you can't leave the tent. Like this is all you're doing. And to get to our re-ration spot, we had to do a traverse that ended up being really questionable snow conditions because of all the snow that fell that night. And it was strong. Like it wasn't covered enough to be true avalanche, but it wasn't safe, secure, firm snow. So the instructors had thought about doing safety lines across this traverse, and we're just like, it's going to take too long, and the snow conditions are just going to get worse and worse. So they're like, we just have to go, and we have to go now. And it took us about 2 hours to get across it, and and basically nobody's speaking this entire time because you've got cliffs above you. If you do fall, you have no time to self-arrest. You're just going off a cliff, and you're done. Like there's no coming back from it. And you've got your instructors being like, make every step count. So you're planting your, ice axe every step. There was one ice gully we had to cross. It has like these bowling ball sized chunks of ice that are shooting down it. I had one step blow out from under my foot. So of course that's your like barely like not soiling yourself at that point, and just the weight of that entire experience, getting to that when everybody was on finally like firm, safe ground, just like years of whatever off your shoulders, and just like everybody's just like jumping, and just like the whole atmosphere of the class changed, and you knew at the time that it was serious and like how bad things could be. But again, the same instructor was like, "Oh, you're only 2 years older." His girlfriend was there at the branch with him. They have a map of the whole Cascades, and he was actually going back through our course, and he was like, "And we did this traverse." He's like, "Sketch ball," like. And the other instructor too is like, if I had ever lost a student, it was going to be that day. That was one of the gnarliest
Wow.
like situations he'd ever been in. And he was a little bit older, so he was a more seasoned instructor. So yeah, I think that's stuff like that that prepares you for like, yeah, make smart decisions, but like today's gonna be okay. May not finish where you want to, but I'm probably not gonna slide off a mountain. So
You're like, I survived that, so this feels easy
yeah,
right now compared
yeah,
to
it
that.
does not feel nearly as intimidating as like, yep, you slip, you die. So
So you were out there for 31 days doing that.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. I mean, it was an incredible experience. I would have loved to have gone and done more from, but I'm happy where I landed with the off road instruction, because this was my knees, as I like to say, my mom didn't bake me properly, and my knees just don't like to do things. So I'm like, I can drive, can't hike, but I can drive.
Well, that is amazing. That definitely sounds challenging,
It was fun,
but
challenging, yes, still fun.
fun.
Type 2 fun. I like type 2 fun.
Yeah, same. All right. On that note, I'm going to wrap us up. And Alex, thank you so much for coming
Thank you for
and
having me.
sharing all of your wonderful stories.
Appreciate it. Good to see you
And
guys.
we look forward to seeing you on the starting line this year.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.